Hello, everyone. So, welcome to another episode. I'm Sunil Kalbandi, and today I'm going to go through 10 lessons. I feel the top 10 lessons I've learned as a mechanical engineer working in the field for over 15 years now. So, these are 10 general lessons. So, this is nothing to do with finance or it has to do with everything. I've just been writing down what I feel are the top 10 um, useful lessons I've learned. So, number one, as a mechanical engineer, which applies to life, is life itself is a very iterative process. Iterative process, as I mean, is you find a goal, you'll find problems, you need to analyze what the problems are, and then you're going to design, and then you move forward. So, that whole loop of 5 steps is what everything I've everything what I do in a day-to-day basis, and then also how life is generally set. So we come with kids, your relationship, or everything else you do. As always, you think about a goal, what are the problems, you analyze, you work it, you design it, and then you move forward. So this is the 5 step process in design. You generally do, it's called an iterative process. You do some iterations, you see which one works, you redesign, and then you go forward and then go forward. So that one, number one, life is iterative design. So failing is a part of that. Means you're doing okay. As long as you fail well and then learn the lessons, you'll be all right. Second thing I feel in the industry is asking good or really great questions. So how do you ask good or great questions? So you need to be curious, you need to read a lot, and then you need to listen a lot. Listening, I'm still a culprit. I get feedbacks. I'm not a good listener, but at least I'm working on it. So you want to be curious, you want to read as much as possible, good stuff. And I mean, reading could be anything, reading a book or a podcast, consuming good data, and then you need to listen. So the next question you might ask is, how does good questions lead to good life? So good questions lead to good answers. Good answers lead to good habits, and habits lead good life. So if you're in a notion that good answers will give you good life, no, it's you have to lead it to good habits, and by having good habits, that leads good life. So in engineering, we call as first principles answers or solutions based on first principles. It is hard science. So anything you're trying to resolve, you're trying to reduce it down to first principles. As an example, gravity. So object falls, you need to accommodate gravity. So you can't go below gravity. You know for sure the fundamental things when you're designing something which is heavy is you need to understand the weight and the gravity of the situation. So that's just one example. So is always trying to think about what's the base and what are the consequences it will have, the secondary and the tertiary consequences. So you want to always try to go back to the basic simple solution. Finance as an example, you just need to save more as much as possible for you to make money. But saving, the solution is simple, but the discipline is very difficult. You want to lose weight, you want to eat less and exercise more. The answer is very simple, but the discipline is more. But knowing the simple answer is very important, and then trying to come up with a way to deal and manage the simple answers is what you need to be doing it. So that's number three. Number four is just about your mind. If you can't control your mind, the mind will control you. So we are always trying to be cognizant of our time, energy, effort, what we want, what we like to do, and the regrets, how to overcome, and other things. So it's roller coasters of your emotions, and it's challenging every day to keep motivated, to earn, to go to 9 to 5 job, come hustle, do other things. You need to have a hook on your mind or a control on your mind. If you don't have a control on your mind will control your body. So people pushing themselves is them telling they're in control, people do marathons, ultra marathons, long distance running. It's all another way of thinking about it is like, the body doesn't want to do it, but the mind controls it. And the harder the things you do, I feel the easier it gets. But it's not easy. There are days when I struggle, but also sometimes I overcome by challenges and other things. So that's number 4. Number 5, this is something called design by quality. I work in the medical device industry, so I've been a mechanical engineer for launching medical devices into commercial product into different countries. So something by quality by design is something people talk about. There's 2 terms: verification and validation. Verification is basically, do you have the right inputs to get the right outputs? Basically, what the right inputs, basically, do you have a goal in mind, and then you can achieve it. If you don't know what the goal is, doesn't matter how good the outcome is, you will never meet. So your inputs and your outputs, when it meets, then you're verifying that it's going on well. So it's a constant review cycle. So the second point within that is called validation. So when you hear terms verification and validation is the user needs, that is me, and the design inputs and the design outputs have met, and I've seen the final product. That's validation. So you're making sure the human needs are met. So if my goal is to be happy, healthy, and wealthy, but this is a great approach, even though it sounds a little bit over the top, the concept is very simple. Keeping us as a family, me in person, and then you're building a system around what your needs are. You try to get your outputs, and then you achieve it, and then you validate it. So verification and validation. So this is a great concept. Probably I'm going to do another video just to go through a little more detail and geek out a little bit about how this process works. So number 6 is risk management. So we've been talking about risk all our life. Anybody you talk, everybody is talking about risk management. Everybody. So when you go to a medical device or like a pacemaker or an insulin pump, the risks are very high. So you make a mistake, people die. I'm thinking about how do you apply the same risk assessment in your life. So the way you think about what is the hazard? Hazard is, you want to understand 3 things when thinking about risk. So there is hazard. Anything which can lead to a harm is called a hazard. The next one is a harm. Anything which can severely damage or cause an injury is a harm. And the harm, what is the risk? What is the severity of the risk to produce a harm? So you're always looking at hazard, harm, and risk. So when you talk to everybody, tons and tons of videos, people are always talking about mitigating the risk. What mechanical design or engineering teaches us, you want to tackle the hazard and the harm before it becoming a risk. There's a huge difference. Dealing with risk is the third option. You want to deal with hazard and harm as much as possible so that it never becomes a risk. So this is just a fantastic concept to lead your life or plan or make a decision on. So you're trying to always deal with, how do I identify the hazard and avoid the harm before it becomes a risk. So when I'm planning for me, for my family, for my wife, for my holidays, I'm always trying to think about what are the hazards and what are the harms. If I put in a solution or a method to prevent it or reduce it, I don't have to risk about the harm. So this is a much better approach to mitigating risk in your life than to get into a place where there's risk and then you manage it. Number 7 is thinking your life in silos. So this one I heard it in one of the Tim Ferriss podcast. This was CEO of Google X Lab. I'm blanking on his name. I'm going to dig it up. So he talks about having 4 or 5 different silos. For me, I need to be in my case, I need to be a good husband, a good father, and I have my hustle passion, and then also I've got a 9 to 5. So for argument's sake, if I want to split them into 25%. So I need to pay attention on all the four, and everyday result should be average. So I shouldn't be excelling just one, or I shouldn't be doing really bad in one. What I'm trying to say is you need to have an average of all the four. So I need to try to score good on all the four silos has been a very important thing. So even if your job is only 25%, I would put the stress maximum as 25% because it is what 25% is. If it is going beyond 25%, then that's a potential harm hazard. So you want to put something in place, maybe 6 months paycheck needs to be saved. If there is more stress, then probably you need like a year supply of money in your pocket to just to reduce the stress. And I would start doing some online courses and other things so that there is better option for me in case I can't handle the stress and then have to quit the job. So those are different ways. So having your life in plans of silos, and also another important part is also having a project. If you retire, people always talk about retirement, but you need to have a project. At least for me, I need to have a project after retirement or other things. So another one, this one is a little more stoic philosophy sort of thing. If you don't know where you're going, then no wind is favorable. So this one really resonates with me. So if I don't know where I'm going or what I want to do, doesn't matter how good the skill or the passion or whatever I'm doing, it doesn't justify. So you need to know where you're going so that you can adjust the sail. It's a sailing metaphor, but basically you need to, even if a bad goal, you want to have a goal than having no goal. I mean it by saying you need to pay attention to have a goal and not to pay goal. Okay, that was number 8. Number 9 is again keep learning. So especially in 9 to 5, things are constantly changing. There is always somebody who's smarter, who works harder, is coming up for a lower pay. Somebody in Philippines, somebody in India, I know what it is and other things. So the only way you can equip yourself is to constantly learn. So I'm always trying to learn new things in the job. I'm trying out different things. You have to be better skilled. Doesn't matter how good it is. I got recently made redundant, but I also got a job. So I'm just saying is you want to have enough skills to manage, and you're always learning. So doesn't matter what it is. Yeah, you can't just relax. You need to find a way to enjoy and constantly learn. This is my top 10 lessons as a mechanical engineering. What I've learned, I apply to my life. I hope you enjoyed it. And if there was anything which resonated, let me know. Put in a comment. Or if there is anything which you disagree, I would still like to hear. Till next time, bye.